of all, Kalida, that fantastic start, 10-2, winners of 5 of their last 6. And head coach Chad Ernsberger, a guy that's been around the block, a great baseball mind. There you have Ayersville. You have a team of the first-year head coach and Corey Adams, a team that's got a lot of seniors, a team that's starting to find its way here as they get into the meat and bones of the GMC of the schedule. So I think this will be an intriguing non-conference matchup here this afternoon.
Well, again, you can hear the wind blowing over a couple of our microphones. It's a situation where it's gusty here this afternoon, but at the same time, it's going to be very much a pitcher's park. It's going to take a poke to get one into the gaps, much less get it out of here.
Well, that wind is blowing straight in, so if you're a pitcher, I think you have to capitalize on that. Fly balls really aren't going to hurt you today. Nothing's going to leave the yard in this. You've got some big-time power, so it's going to be important to eliminate freebies, trust your defense, and get ahead of the hitters early in the count.
We're going to take a look at the starting lineups when we come back. Don't you go anywhere. You're watching the Ayersville Chevrolet Cadillac pregame show on DCTV Sports. All right. Make it 2 minutes here.
Ayersville Chevrolet Cadillac is this area's new and used car headquarters, earning your trust one satisfied customer at a time. Ayersville Chevrolet Cadillac, North Clinton Street in Defiance, and online at drivebobayersville.com. For the past 70 years, Midwest Community Federal Credit Union has been your financial partner, helping you achieve your dreams and secure your future. Midwest Community Federal Credit Union, with locations in Defiance, Bryan, and Napoleon. Find out more at midwestcommunity.org. Simplify with convenient account options and digital banking features that fit your unique lifestyle. Premier Bank, everyday banking solutions designed for you. Explore solutions today at yourpremierbank.com.
Back at Ayersville, time for the starting lineups, brought to you by Baker Schindler Company, proudly serving the area with the highest quality contracting services for nearly 100 years. Baker Schindler Company of Defiance and Paulding. Check them out online at baker-schindler.com. Let's go ahead and take a look at the starting lineups and the batting order for the visiting Kalida Wildcats. And they have some beef at the plate. We're going to break them down here for you. Again, Brady Smith, I know they call him Bubba, is his nickname at second base, but he will be the leadoff man. Again, Smith, you want a guy that can get on base, not just a solid average scoop at .519, but you take a look at walks. You take a look at being hit by pitches. Is he finding a way on? His on-base percentage is .639.
I'm not sure. I've got a .639 on base percentage playing video games, so that's just absolutely off the charts. He was a guy that was second team All-Ohio as a junior a season ago, also first team All-Putnam County last year, so he's certainly going to be on the Pilots' radar here this afternoon.
Rounding out the rest of the lineup, Logan Kerner will be roaming center field. He bats second. Griffin Klausing third. Jacob Siebenek will be batting in the cleanup spot. There are two Siebeneks on the roster. Jacob hitting .304, but he's got an on-base percentage of .484, and if you get runners in scoring position, he's almost good at nearly 500% at .444. Scoop, they just move the line. They don't have a weak spot in their lineup.
Well, they really don't. That's why it's going to be so important that you're going to minimize freebies, because you're not going to no-hit these guys. But you have to minimize the walks, the freebies. You do that, you give yourself a fighting chance.
Rounding it out, Caden Looser hitting fifth. Steck Schulte will be the pitcher. Jackson Hoffman at third base will bat seventh. The catcher, Adam Buckrath, hitting eighth. And batting in the 9-hole, Nathan Kale, your shortstop. Defensively, this is what Ayersville is going to put on the field here this afternoon. And again, I don't want to say a young squad, because you take a look at them, just a couple of underclassmen, but maybe a bit more of an inexperienced squad. A lot of these guys were watching from the JV roster last season. But again, taking a look at the defense, you'll see Jackson Stambaugh, the sophomore, on the bump. Stambaugh, again, has kind of come into his own. He doesn't have a win or loss. He's been minimally used, but at the same time, Scoop, I take a look at a walk-to-strikeout ratio. Are you getting guys out versus putting them on? And he's got one walk on the season. So, again, a situation here where he's at least going to be around the plate.
Well, that's huge. A 6-to-1 strikeout-walk ratio is just incredibly good. I know it's a small sample size, but he also has a whip of just 1.57, so that's going to keep him in games. I think it's going to be important for the defense to play clean behind him. And, again, he's going to have to do a really good job of really hitting his spots, moving the ball around, try to keep this heavy-hitting Wildcat team in check here this afternoon.
He's got a senior behind the plate and Andrew Barrick taking over for Carter Bradley, who is just a journeyman high school basketball player last season. From left to right on the infield goes freshman, senior, junior. Sigler at third. It's his first start at third base this season. Ryan Magg, the senior, will talk about his collegiate opportunities. Colton Dockery at second, and Chris Steingass at first. From left to right in the green, it goes sophomore, junior. Hunter Hazelton, Owen Lloyd, and Dylan Brown. Those are your starting lineups, brought to you by Baker Schindler Company. Keys to the game brought to you by Northwest State Community College. Your key to great career opportunities begins with a great education. Northwest State. Visit northweststate.edu or call them at 419-267-1320 today. Scoop, couple quick here before both teams get ready to take the field.
Well, I think for Kalida, it's going to start with they need to put the ball in play. They need to minimize strikeouts at bat. Hit situational. They need to. The wind's going to come into play. I think the other thing is they want a lot of first pitch strikes. Try to attack the zone early. Get these Ayersville hitters in negative counts.
On the flip side for the Pilots.
Well, I think for the Pilots, they have to play clean. The defense has to be solid. You just cannot afford a team like Kalida to have extra routes each and every inning. Then I think they have to really find a way to manufacture runs. Maybe play a little small ball, be aggressive on the base pass, but find a way to maybe scratch across the run. 2-out hits, I think, will be a premium as well for the Pilots if they want to pull the upset here this afternoon.
Those are the keys to the game brought to you by Northwest State Community College, as Ayersville in their home whites with those powder blue lettering in numerals with the black trim. They got the pinstripes on today. On the flip side for Kalida, got the traveling gray jersey tops with the gold lettering in numerals and the white trousers. Again, going to try and get this one in today, although the weather, despite being very windy, looks to cooperate. The rest of this week, not so much. The remaining 6 days of this week, Tuesday through Saturday, call for anywhere from an 80 on the high end to a 30% chance of showers. So, Scoop, Mother Nature hasn't exactly cooperated with the outdoor sports so far this spring.
Well, that's what you get in Northwest Ohio. So when you do get a day like today, it's nice to be out here on the diamond and a chance for these kids to really get some experience in as they get into the meat and bones of their conference schedules, which will happen later this week.
Didn't bring any sunscreen today, but I'm almost feeling like I need it. My goodness, we are right underneath that late afternoon sun. And a little bit of a crowd showing up here as the varsity baseball diamond is tucked away in the back, what would you call it, northeast corner of the campus here at Ayersville. You can't go any farther without needing a crop duster. So, and I'm not kidding. We literally turn around, there is a fence, and we were joking about it last year as our producer and director, Tristan, set up the sat link out there to try and be unobstructed, and it fell down once, and it was almost like you find yourself on the moon when you walk across that fence. It's like a whole nother world. But handshakes, pleasantries, and lineup cards being exchanged at home plate. We're going to take a quick timeout. When we get back, we'll get set for the playing of the national anthem, and then it will be first pitch. You're watching DCTV Sports.
Simplify your everyday banking with convenient account options and digital banking features that fit your unique lifestyle. Premier Bank, everyday banking solutions designed for you. Explore solutions today at yourpremierbank.com. Visit Mark Motes Ford and check out some of the best new Ford models. Mark Motes Ford has been serving the Defiance community since 1916. Visit them today, County Road 424 in Defiance, and online at markmotesford.com. Proudly serving the area with the highest quality contracting services for nearly 100 years. Baker Schindler Company of Defiance and Paulding. 419-782-5080. Online at baker-schindler.com.
In the conduct of all students.
get a good look at our camera behind home plate and the Kalida dugout as everybody inching closer to first pitch. Both coaches, I should say, at home plate, exchanging lineup cards and a few pleasantries with the men in blue. We weren't able to get the umpires' names. We're going to try and get that maybe during a half-inning break or so. But Coach Ernsberger for Kalida, Coach Adams in his first season at the helm for Ayersville. And Kalida, again, was a team that was sub 500 last season. As a matter of fact, did they win 2 games last year? 3 games in the PCL, but 10-1 so far this season and unbeaten in conference play. And I asked him, I said, so what's been the difference? And he said it's all been mental. He goes, this is the same team we had compared to a season ago, but he goes, now they understand. For lack of better terms, sometimes it might sound a little oversimplistic or maybe even too brutally honest, but he goes, they get it this year.
Yeah, I think Coach Ernsberger really kind of hit the nail on the head because it is the same crew. They've got all these guys back from a year ago where they were 8-17. You mentioned 3-4 in the PCL, but that's what experience will do. These kids got a good work ethic. They've got a great coach in Chad Ernsberger, and they are starting to kind of find it a little bit and are understanding baseball really is one of those ultimate mental sports, and you need to have that in your side every time you step on the diamond.
On the flip side, Coach Adams for Ayersville, he said woulda, coulda, shoulda over the weekend against Patrick Henry, and he goes, look, you're going to find yourself in tight ball games. This isn't a team that's built to win by double digits. So he said at some point, you've got to be able to flush it. Treat it like you're playing with house money. It's natural to get tight when you find yourself in basically high leverage situations once or twice. But he goes, if you allow yourself to stay tight every time you find yourself in a high leverage situation, things aren't going to go well for you.
Well, that's baseball in a nutshell. And if you want to make any kind of a tournament run, you have to find ways to win those 3-2 games, those 4-3 games. And a lot of times it comes down to really not beating yourself. It's executing, doing what you can do, stay within yourself. And, both these teams, I think they've got the pieces there. Ayersville lacks that experience that Kalida has, but Ayersville, I think, has some good athletes over there. I look for these guys to really compete well here today.
Both teams' rosters now lining up along their respective baselines. It's time for our national anthem. Brought to you by the Defiance County Veterans Office. Proud to support local veterans and their families, connecting them with resources available to them. To learn more about or request more information, you can log on to defiance-county.com/Veterans Office. And the Star Spangled Banner, courtesy of the Defiance County Veterans